Red Dragon Hatchling 77274 Reaper Bones. This is the Reaper Bones, obviously, so it's plastic. I do have a metal one that I'm going to be painting at some point. But I can honestly say this is the first time I'm painting a proper dragon. And when I say that, I mean, you know, yes, I painted the Wyram gear dragon, but this is a whole different ballgame. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut, and I'm going to come back after I've gave this guy a rinse off, because you don't want to paint these without at least rinsing them off in hot soapy water. The paint will adhere better. So you gotta do that, let them dry, and then you can start painting. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'll be back. Alright, I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I'm gonna try and zoom you in just a tad. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in this right here. Now I realize I'm using a Citadel holder for a Reaper Miniatures holder, but these work just fine for it. If you're really worried about it, you can use a little bit of double-sided sticky tape. As long as you're not like jabbing into the miniature, you should be fine. That's what I've learned. Now, I think what I'm going to do on this particular miniature is I'm going to probably just do a base coat in pure red. Like blood crimson red if I have it. Which I think I do. If I can get it out of my rack. Yeah, I've got dragon red here. Is what I'm going to do. Is I'm just going to put a base layer on there of dragon red, and then I'm going to probably come back over it with something. I'm going to probably do a highlight in black to make a contrast, and then I'll try and lighten it up a little bit in the areas that need lightened up, is what I will do. So as you can see, the base coat is done. And it only took me about half an hour from drying to painting to get the base coat done, which I'm sure that there's professionals out there that can do it faster. I'm not a professional. I am an amateur that's just, you know, having some fun painting a miniature. That's all I'm doing here. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to instruct you on how to do it. I'm just trying to show you, oh hey, this is cool, you know, and it's a thing I'm doing. So, I can actually see a couple spots I missed again. But you know what, I'm going to just go ahead and I'm going to paint over it with the next color, because they're, you know, I suppose actually those are kind of glaring spots. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that real quick. Because I'm sure you probably couldn't see it on the camera, but I can see it in person. And that's, if I can see it in person, somebody examining my miniature would see it in person. And that's not something I want. It has nothing to do with being a perfectionist. It literally is just, I know that if I can see it in person, then somebody else is going to see it in person. Because you know, I'm not really worried about the base of the miniature right now. I'm not worried. I'm far more interested in making sure that the miniature itself, the important part here, is taken care of. And I think we've reached that point, because when you look at this miniature, I'm not seeing, any spots that I missed. And that's the most important thing, is if I'm looking at my miniature, the last thing I want to see is a spot that I missed. Now, the one exclusion to that is on the base, because I'm not really worried about the base right now. I'm focusing on the miniature. The base will come later. And I can see another spot on the spine that I missed, so I'm just going to run my brush up and down the spine until that's taken care of. And you see, I'm dabbing off the excess paint because I don't want to completely oversaturate the miniature with paint. I just want to fill in the cracks that I can see. But yeah, I think we're pretty well done here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave this part of the video as is for right now. My plan is I will come back in the morning after letting this dry overnight, and then I will start working on the fine details. I think that's going to be what I'm going to do. Because what I'm worried about is, I keep going over it, I keep going over it, I keep going over it, and what I'm worried about doing is not so much oversaturating the miniature, but building up paint in areas that have already been hit 2 or 3 times and not getting those particular areas that are, they just aren't getting the same treatment, and it's going to create a difference in color and texture in the final miniature, and that's something you don't want. You want paint to be applied evenly, in most cases. Okay, so you can see the miniature is dried right now, well, for the most part. I went ahead and I did something possibly stupid to the base, but what I did was I just dabbed on the base a little bit of blade steel. Why? Because I'm trying to create a contrast in the base and the coloring, because if you've just got pure, well, this is obviously stone, that's one thing. It'll look fine, but it looks better if you've got a contrast, because, I mean, stone is not all one particular type of mineral. It is multiple types of mineral. So in a cave system, it makes sense to have, a patchy, spotted, kind of not all one bland color. It makes it more interesting to look at too, because it gives it another level of detail. And when I go to do a wash on this, it's going to really pop because I did that. Anyway, I'm going to get back to it. Okay, I hope this is a better angle, because before you really can't see anything. And I know there's a lot of light blocking the view, but this is so much easier to be able to show you what I'm doing. There we go. My miniature is completely dry at the moment. I haven't added any more paint to it, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by doing a black wash on it, and I'm noticing that there's certain areas that I know I've painted over. I know I've painted that area. You can see that there's a couple spots where paint just seems to refuse to adhere. I'm just going to ignore that because there's nothing I can do about that right now. I'm hoping that when I change up paint, that it'll, the different paint will adhere better to those particular areas. But yeah, I swear I've been over that. I know I've been over it. It's not me being lazy, it's legitimately it refuses to adhere properly. So actually what I'm going to do first, I think, is I'm going to use not bleached white. I know I have a bone white. Dragon white would work, but I'm looking for bone white because I know I have it or had it at one point. Bleached linen, bronze. That's You see, back on this channel. Oh, here we go. We'll go with ghost white because, well, no, I'm looking for a white, not a kind of a off-white color. You see, back when, actually back in like December of 2018, I had bought a rack, which I'm glad I bought this when I did because they don't want to sell anymore for whatever reason. Anyway, I bought a black rack of Reaper paint, and that's something that I'm very proud to actually have, even if it took me forever to get the actual art stuff for it. But where I'm going with this is there was a wasp nest in there when I got it. Now, why I bring that up is I bought a bunch of paints during a polar vortex without knowing it. Ghost white, bleached linen, yeah, I've only got the two. And what's mildly annoying about that is the fact that it arrived during the polar vortex, which means that it arrived pitch freaking black and frozen. Yeah, I wasn't happy because I spent about 30 bucks on paint and only a small fraction of it actually arrived usable, really. That day sucked. And this is a nice brand new brush. I think I'll wait to use this. I'll wait on that one. I'll use my older brush that's smaller. Yeah. Just gonna go ahead and wet it just a tiny little bit, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do the fine details, because you see, I want the belly scales to be white, which, as you can see, that it's all red right now because that's the base layer. Just gonna make sure that I got all the excess water out of there before I do this. Got a stray hair. It's kind of being a problem. I may have to retire this brush, or use it in situations where I don't care if it's not absolutely perfect. because the bristles just refuse to cooperate like they're supposed to. But yeah, this is what I'm doing right now, is I'm putting the belly scales on there in white. Which, I'm going to put the brush down before I get the paint on my viewer here, my view screen. But you can see what I'm doing here. It looks better. It doesn't look great, but when I'm done, it'll look nice. Trust me. I have an idea here of what I'm doing. I'm switching brushes. This is ridiculous. I'm not doing this today. I didn't fight for a day off to do this video from my place of work to deal with a brush that refuses to work. I will just change up and use this one. It's fine. So you see, I've done the belly, and I've done the belly, and I've done the claws now. Which really has put some character on there, as opposed to it just being a bland old, oh, I'm a dragon, I'm a pure red dragon. It's actually got some contrast to that red color now, which is kind of nice, actually. And I'm only getting started. Okay. I'm actually quite pleased with that. That worked a lot better than I was expecting, if I'm being brutally honest, because what I was aiming for here was, I was trying to put a little bit of detail on the head. You know, mainly a little bit around the eyes, well, the eye, and then the teeth. That's what I was aiming for, and a little bit in the mouth, but I didn't want to cover everything in the mouth, because the white on the inside is acting to kind of dull the red in there, to make it look like, you know, like a tongue is in there. And that's what I was aiming for with that. So I'm going to go ahead and drop a little bit more red in here. Just going to go ahead and drop that right there. Oop. I don't need a whole bunch on my plate, because I'm literally just doing some fixing up of a couple minor details that I missed. So I think we can use the crap brush for this. That would be great. Just gonna go ahead and put that there. Just a tiny bit here. As Bob Ross would say, there's no such thing as mistakes, just happy accidents. And that's pretty much my painting style in a nutshell. Is, you know, I make a lot of happy accidents, let's put it that way. But yeah, I went from drab, boring, you know, dragon to dragon with some detail on it now. And I've been thinking about the base and how I want to jazz that up a little bit. So that's something I'm probably going to do relatively soon. As in, like right now, actually. Let me check one super quick thing over here, and then we'll get on that. It's literally pick your weapon. I've got a dozen or so brushes over here, and I think I picked my weapon. I'm gonna go with this one. Dragon green would work. I know that's, I'm looking for something a little, you know what, we're gonna try something here. This is gonna be stupid, but I'm gonna try it anyway. This isn't gonna work how I hope. I know it's not. I only needed one drop, but since you're giving me two, fine. Alright. I'm going to try and add in some color to this over a period of time, just going through and hitting it, you know, just little dots, just teeny tiny little dots. I'm going to eventually end up with something that looks like the dragon standing on, you know, like gemstones is what I'm hoping for here with doing that. And yes, I'm sure there's about 10,000 easier ways to do it. It's an experiment, it's fun. That's why I'm doing it this way. Is yes, I know there's probably about 300,000 easier ways that I could add gemstones to my dragon statue here. That is not what I'm trying to do right now. I'm just trying to look at it and go, oh hey, that looks like a fun idea. Let's try that. Let's see if it works. That's all I'm doing. That's 90% of what I do is I look at it and go, that's a stupid idea. Let's try it and see how it works. Yeah, that's my channel in a nutshell right there. Because you never know what I'm going to do. For example, I need to find black. Yeah, pure black will work. Yeah, you don't want a lot of pure black. It is easily the #1 quickest way to screw up what you're trying to do. You see, I'm about to do something incredibly stupid. Let me just see here. Yeah, that's a good wash right there. They always say that's the way to do it. Might need more water because I can't really read that. They always say you're supposed to be able to read it after the fact and blah blah blah, and I'm like, I've yet to manage that one. I just sent wash all over my nice clean table. You see, this isn't my messed up table, this is my clean table that now has paint on it. Yay! Oh well. I don't think it's going to hurt anything, and it adds character to my table. Man, that is getting everywhere. Oh man. That's more like it, I think. Yep, alright. We're doing this. So this is what it looks like before. You've seen it before. Let me just oop. I'm really going to saturate this. have a darn good reason for it too, is this will cause the scales to be a lot more visible. The fine details that would ordinarily be hard to see get brought out by this technique. I'm even going to do this because the way the paint runs on this, yeah, it's not going to want to stay in those cracks, and it's not going to want to dry right away because it's so wet. It takes it a little bit to do that. I'll just hold this over the top of my thing here and let it get in those cracks. I'm not being skimpy either. I'm putting a large amount on here. In fact, that might be a little too much. Because you don't want it so saturated that, you know, it overpowers everything you're doing, but you want it saturated enough that the detail comes out. That's why I'm kind of removing the massive excess that I'm seeing. That's why you see me tapping it and then cleaning my brush out and then tapping it again. Yes, what I'm doing is I'm removing the ridiculous excess from the places I don't want it to be ridiculously over saturated, I mean. And then I'm filling in the spots that I think could use more. Because if I'm looking at it and I'm going, I can't see detail on that, I'm looking at it and saying that probably also needs a little bit more wash then. Yeah, I think this is pretty good at this point. I'm just gonna kinda do this. Tap that out and just kind of suck up some of the excess off these wings here, because the problem with the wings that curve is they soak up the they soak it up, and then it just kind of doesn't want to go away. So I'm going to be holding this here for a little while. I will come back and, yeah, actually, hold on. I'm wondering something here. Can I actually do this? Where I like clamp this and then clamp this on this side. You know, that'd actually make a lot of sense if they made it possible to clamp both sides of this here. You know, for a clamp, you really suck at clamping. I'm just gonna throw that out there. There. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever done or tried to do. Fine. Oh. It's not the worst idea I've ever had, to do something like that where it's like stuck in there. Oh, this is why it sucks not having a way to hold something in the way you think it should be held. You know, at this point, I'm just going to turn it around the other way and just let it go, I think. It'll be fine. So I'm not overly concerned that it's not, you know, exactly the color I want it to be. And then I'm going to go over the red with a light dry brushing of probably a brilliant red, because look at that really deep red color, then look at this really deep red color. This thinned out to near nothing on there and then painted over the top of this is going to make this really pop when we're done. So we're going to do that, and if nothing else, I'm probably going to apply that to the wings, because it'll make the wings look as if they're a little bit more translucent, which the problem right now is, yes, this would be passable. This would be perfectly passable as a regular old dragon. I could play this in my game and nobody would bat an eye that that is a really nicely painted red dragon. Nobody would say anything about that. I'm going for the gusto and trying to make it look amazing though. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to let that dry. We'll come back for a later part of the video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. So I'm going to let this dry, and I'll come back to it again. But you can see I've made some significant progress on this. This isn't tiny progress, this is leaps and bounds progress. I think I'm going to go ahead actually and do more for the base on this. I did blue the other day. I want to avoid using red that I've already used on the base. So I think I'm going to throw in some gold and not bronze. Bronze isn't a precious metal. I'm waiting for my purple to come in because, you know, that'd be amethyst or other colors like that that I could use that I'm lacking. Because I've got red, I've got green. Actually, I could do green, like dark dragon green for like emerald on the base. Yeah, I think that's going to be what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to go ahead and end the video, and I'll just show that to you in the next update. So that's going to be what I'm going to do. My battery's about to die, so see you in the next one. So as you can see here, I've been working on the miniature, and it turned out great. This is pretty much the end for this particular painting. I'm pretty well done on this one. Yeah, I probably could do more. I could probably make it look super fantastic. I could probably make the pile of gemstones and gold look more gemstone and goldy. Right now, I'm just done, you know? You reach a certain point where you want to move on to the next project and look at the next thing and see how that comes out. That's where I'm at on this one. I want to move on. So, yeah. I think this one turned out great, though, for what it is. And I'm quite okay with this. I mean, look at that. That's crazy. You know? It really... The big thing on this one that I learned was going against the scales actually worked better to highlight them. And when I wanted to add detail to it, I went the opposite direction. And that's what made that come out really nice. Next up on my to-do list is the miniatures I've got over here. Oop, there went a brush. I've got these miniatures over here, which I've already started the video for these, but I'm gonna tease it in this one. I'm working on some metal knights, is what I'm working on. Unfortunately, they're metal, which is kind of a pain in the arse when you're trying to glue them together and make them look good and all that good stuff. I've got 8 of them I gotta put together. So, I'm gonna have to figure out what I'm doing with that. But in the meantime, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you on the next one.